And my name is Cheryl Aker. We'll go ahead and get started here. I know some folks may start keep trickling in. I'm Cheryl Aker with Texas Education Agency, and I work in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. And that's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to let Kaplan have the floor.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. And I'm Laura Bailet. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Kaplan Early Learning Company, and I'll be leading this session today. And I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Mark Hanson. And Mark, you want to say a word or two before I get started?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And by the way, I've asked Laura to help to facilitate this conversation because we are limited in time, and it might be between the two of us that we might actually try to consume more time than is available. So I'm going to quickly hand it off to her because we know this is about you who are in the audience. And please allow me to introduce our own Dr. Laura Bailet. Laura is both an educator, a researcher. Her background includes curriculum development, but more importantly than that, I think what will come through in our short amount of time together is her genuine and sincere passion for education and children. And we're privileged to have her as the Kaplan Chief Academic Officer. And so at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Laura. I know she has a little bit of information just to share, and we are eager to hear your questions and engage with you in this exciting process. Laura?
Oh, so thank you, Mark. You know, what I was going to say to start off is that I always love any opportunity to share with folks this Connect for Learning curriculum. And here's why. I've worked in early childhood in various capacities for, I hate to say, over 40 years. It's been a long time. I've held a lot of different positions in pediatric healthcare, in education, now at Kaplan Early Learning Company. But, you know, through it all, my North Star has always been to do anything that I could to help every child attain their full potential. And within that North Star for me, I've always had a special focus on children with special learning needs and also children who come from impoverished homes. And, you know, too often these children suffer from educational opportunity gaps where they're simply not given equitable, high quality learning experiences and opportunities, which then can result in achievement gaps. And one of the best tools for reducing that opportunity and achievement gap is putting great curricula directly into teachers' hands. And that is one of our best ways to reduce those gaps. And that's really what Connect for Learning is all about. So this is a very unique, innovative curriculum that was developed several years ago by an absolutely phenomenal group of nationally renowned early childhood researchers. And they came together with funding from the National Science Foundation. And as a researcher, I can attest how next to impossible it is to get funding from the National Science Foundation. You have to be the best of the best of the best to get that. And they were asked by the National Science Foundation to create an innovative curriculum that put a huge emphasis on math and science, but at the same time did not shortchange literacy and social emotional learning. And that is the foundation, the core of Connect for Learning. So it covers 4 key content domains: math, science, literacy, and social emotional. It is an interdisciplinary curriculum. And what that means is that multiple content areas are seamlessly woven together into the same lesson so that children learn to think about content from multiple different angles. Like math and literacy can very much work together, and children can think about content from multiple angles. The curriculum is based on a tremendous amount of very current research on what it is that young children need to learn to be prepared for a lifetime of school and life success. And much of that research has been done by our authors who are also principal investigator researchers. And it's built on the knowledge of what children need to learn the right sequence in which they need to learn key skills, and the scaffolding techniques to help them master the content. So it's very much based on research. And then as the curriculum was created, they also ran field research and compared children receiving the Connect for Learning curriculum with children in comparable classrooms who didn't receive Connect for Learning. And the Connect for Learning children significantly outperformed the comparison children in multiple skills: math, science, language, and literacy skills. So that sort of establishes the credibility of who created this and what it's built on, which is so important in evaluating curricula. But now I want to turn your attention a little bit to sort of the nuts and bolts of this curriculum and the ease of use. It is made up of 6 units. So there's 6 unit guides, and it offers 32 weeks of fully developed lessons. So it's an entire school year of, let me say again, fully developed lessons. The thing that's great about that, well, many things are great about that, but one of the things is that it works very well with beginning teachers all the way up to very, very experienced teachers. Any of them can jump in and begin using this curriculum with success early on if they go through the professional development training. There are many structural supports built into it that help teachers organize themselves. And there are a lot of pedagogical supports that are built in. So tips, connections, ESL teaching strategies are put right there in the heart of the lesson, so teachers don't have to go searching for what those might be. They're right there in the lesson for them. So there are 6 units, as I said. Each unit is built around a culminating project. So it's also a project-based curriculum. And in addition to that, the authors spent a tremendous amount of time creating activities for learning centers that very closely coordinate and integrate and extend lessons and the content and the learning skills so that children can choose those activities in the learning centers. There are pages and pages of suggestions for the learning centers at the beginning of each unit guide. So, you know, at Kaplan, our motto actually is "We're for play." That is our motto at Kaplan. And so not surprisingly, Connect for Learning has a great balance between intentional teaching, which research shows us best prepares children for future academic success, along with a very, very healthy dose of great play opportunities. So there's formative assessment comes as part of the curriculum. There is an online portal. Teachers can do their formative assessment either on the paper form or they can do that on the portal. And of course, we do have professional development to get people prepared to be up and running with that. So there's so much more I could say, but I'm going to pause there. Mark, I don't know if there's anything specific you want to emphasize that I didn't touch on, and then we'll open it up for questions.
You know, Laura, you do such a great job. And by the way, that's such a deep curricula and it has so much to offer that often we find ourselves in these conversations and with good questions, they extend for a period of time. What I would like to do, because I know we are limited on time, is to turn it over to the group for their questions. And then obviously, if there's additional time, we're happy to share as you see fit. So this is our first session, so I'm not sure how best to pose who gets what question. I don't know if Cheryl from TEA can guide us or if it's just an open mic.
I think it can be open mic. If folks should be able to unmute themselves, but if not, I can do that from here.
I was able to unmute, but I don't
I
know
was too, but
if my
okay.
controls are different.
How about from any of our participants? Hi, Judy.
Hi, I'm curious. You said that it does have the 32 weeks of lesson plans. Are those
yes.
plans editable where you can go in and edit them digitally?
That is a good question. I don't know that you can actually edit them like through the online portal. We do want teachers to follow the sequence of the lessons because research shows us the proper sequence in which children learn complex skills like all the elements of learning to count and numeration, certainly phonological awareness and that kind of thing needs to be, children need systematic exposure in an order that we know is from easier to harder. But teachers are absolutely allowed to adapt the lessons according to individual children's needs. And there is space in each 5-day segment of the lessons where it's teacher's choice for what she or he would like to emphasize for the children.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I will mention too that we have a full Spanish version of the curriculum, and we're very, very pleased about that. We had a consultant, Dr. Mari Riojas Cortez, who some of you may be familiar with. She was at University of Texas San Antonio for 22 years in the early childhood education department, and she was our consultant and really our guide in creating something that we think is really reflective of current best practices for educating dual language children to become bilingual and biliterate. So that is also fully available.
I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
I know it's hard to hear on this computer. I don't know if you can hear me, but
We can hear you.
okay. So what is something that you feel that Kaplan does better than anyone else right now?
That Kaplan does better than anyone else? I think the extent to which our sales representatives make themselves available, not only in the initial introduction and selling cycle and selling process, but once you become a user, they stay in touch with you very well and get to know your needs extremely well. Honestly, I'll say we've had feedback from customers. I make myself available as the chief academic officer. I've spent, hours on the phone at times with different school districts that are using the curriculum and have questions or want somebody to help them work through something. And they always say to me, we can't believe that Kaplan, has people that will get on the phone with us like this. I don't know what other companies do, but I can tell you our customers share regularly with us that they feel that we're very, very responsive. It's like we feel it as a true partnership. Like we can only be successful with this curriculum if you're going to be successful with this curriculum, and everybody has their unique needs. And we learn as much from you as you may ever possibly learn from us. And so I just approach it as absolutely a true partnership. And I think that's a real strength for Kaplan.
Okay, thank you.
We currently serve early Head Start and Head Start children. Is this curriculum, does it meet the needs of infants and toddlers as well?
This is not a curriculum for infants and toddlers. It is widely used in preschool classrooms that have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So it's very appropriate for a Head Start population. It's not designed at all for an early Head Start population, but I love it for a Head Start population because, by definition, children that qualify for Head Start are some of our lowest income families. And they are the ones who historically have had opportunity gaps. And one of the big drivers for creating this curriculum was to create a curriculum with great math and science content, as well as literacy and social emotional, that would have high expectations for every child, especially in public school districts and especially low income children. And I think it has achieved that type of equity that all of these students need. And so it's entirely appropriate for a Head Start population.
Okay, Okay, thank you. I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you have a correlation that would go along with our early learning outcomes framework, our ELOF?
Yes, it is. I believe it is mapped to ELOF. I'll double check that. Mark, can you recall if it's mapped to ELOF, the Early Learning Outcomes Framework?
I do believe it is. I admittedly don't have it in front of me,
Yeah.
but I think the short answer is yes. Yeah, and we can send it. You're welcome to get a hold of either Laura or myself. When you visit the TEA site, you'll also see sales responsible of Frederick Dissel. Any of us are happy to provide that information for you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kim, I'll give you and anyone my email address. And if you'll just email me directly, then that'll be my reminder to follow up on that, and I'll get right back to you. So it's just the letter L and my last name Bailet, B as in boy, AILET at kaplanco.com.
And
lbailet@kaplanco.com. And so if you'll just shoot me an email and just say something about what about ELOF, and I'll remember, and then I'll get right back to you.
Okay,
and
thank you.
yeah, and obviously Laura and I work for the same company. You can use the same methodology. As you can see on the screen, my name is Mark Hanson, so just mhanson@kaplanco.com. And we're more than happy to help. But Laura is the rock star, and I know that she will get that to you quickly. So
You could add
Okay,
those
thank you
email
very much.
addresses to the chat too, if you wanted.
oh, okay.
That's a great idea.
But Laura, I can do that while you're talking.
Okay,
So
perfect.
yep.
These are great questions, so don't hang back, you guys. I love questions. It's the best part of these things.
I have another question for you. Do you have physical samples that you're sending out to districts?
Physical samples.
Yes.
Mark, do you want to respond to that one?
Yeah, so on a need or an opportunity basis, we would be happy to provide physical samples. We have improved the curricula, and we are in the process of republishing it. I would share with you, we have digital versions, but the curricula, and this is part of the limitation of, I call this is almost like a speed dating program. It literally has 120 books. We've got a full portfolio of manipulatives, activities, games. It literally ships in 10 different boxes. And so the point is, often when somebody wants to review the curricula, they want to see what we call the unit guides, right? The 6 project-based unit guides, which is the core of the instructional materials. And so we could get that to you right away. It's just the other items that would be the challenge at this moment.
Thank you.
We have just 1 minute left.
Wow, that went fast. We're having so much fun, right?
That's right.
And I'm typing those email addresses in the chat area as we speak.
I
So
see a question in the chat. Is it in English and Spanish? They are not together in one curriculum. We have 2 separate curricula, an English version and a Spanish version. So they're 2 separate curricula.
And I believe pricing is available on the TEA website for the bids that you've
Yes.
submitted.
Yes.
Yes.
If you look under instructional materials and proclamations, Proclamation 2021 is where I believe you will find. I'm looking right now.
And we can send you all links to pricing. We have some packages which basically range from a 1 year to up to a multi-year program. So it's really just based on consumables and access to the portal. But the base price for English is $29.95.
Okay, our time is up for now. There is a 5-minute transition time if you're planning to head to another publisher room, or if you want to stay here and talk with the great folks from Kaplan some more, you're welcome to do that as well. So we will start back up at 2:25.
Thanks for coming, everyone. And thank you, teachers out there. You're doing heroic work. And we at Kaplan recognize that, and you have 100% support from us. Thank you.
Mark, did you have another question for me? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to validate that we just stay on this web link for the subsequent sessions. So
yes, sir.
Good, good. And I also want to welcome, looks like some of our Texas-based sales team is on the line as well. So Shauna and Mills and Brian. So welcome, guys and gals.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get an answer on that ELOF mapping now.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we have it, and
I am too, but we just do so much mapping, and it's, you know, it's just hard to remember. And I don't want to say it is if I'm not sure.
But I have confidence we could crank it out quickly if necessary if we don't. But I would be surprised if we don't have it. So. This does feel a little like speed dating. I've never speed dated, but we get like a new set every, what, 20 minutes? So.
Next.
My only experience with that is I went to a mystery book writers conference called BoucherCon. It's like, yeah, it's a national organization, and it was in Dallas a year ago, October. So since it was so close was the only reason I got to go, but they had book speed dating. So authors, all the people that were there got to sit at tables for breakfast, and the authors actually had to go around to the tables, and they had like 2 minutes to do a synopsis of their latest book. And a lot of them had swag, they were hanging out and stuff like that, but they to convince you why you'd want to read their book. And so it was quite fun, and my only speed dating experience ever of any kind.
Yes. Yeah.
So now was Stephen King there? I mean, let's start at the top.
James Patterson was there, but he bailed on a lunch conference that we paid extra money to be there. He decided there not enough people signed up, and
he's pricey.
He bailed out and didn't show up, even though we paid extra to have lunch at his little conference. So I was not impressed.
Yeah. Wow, looks like we're going to have a lot of people at this one.
Yeah, we're getting a good group coming in. I was going to tell you the new folks coming in won't be able to see the chat that's already there, I think. So you may have to put your email addresses in again each time so that the new folks will be able to see those, but you should be able to just
I can get that done now. Yep. Actually, that's probably the better way to go.
I'm just looking at the chat because there were a lot of things in there. So, okay.
One more minute to let folks get. And just a reminder to try to limit the intro to 5 so that, especially with the bigger group, you may have a lot more questions. So.
What was my time on the last one?
Maybe 7 or 8, if that seems right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think may have some people still coming in, but welcome everybody. We are here with Kaplan Early Learning, and my name is Cheryl Aker. I'm with the Texas Education Agency, and I work in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division, and we're very excited to have you all here. And I'll just let Kaplan take the floor.
Mark, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. By the way, good afternoon, and thank you everybody for choosing to join us. We're thrilled that you're here. I'm Mark Hanson. I'm our National Sales Manager, and with me is our own Dr. Laura Bailet. You may not know Laura, but she, not only do I consider her a friend, is a fantastic educator. You'll find her as a researcher. Her background includes curriculum development. But I think what's most important about Dr. Laura Bailet is her honest and sincere passion for education and children. And so I'm thrilled to introduce our Chief Academic Officer at Kaplan Early Learning Company, Dr. Laura Bailet.
Thank you, Mark, and hello, everyone. It's great to have an opportunity to speak with you for a little while this afternoon. And I'm always thrilled to have an opportunity to introduce new folks to our Connect for Learning curriculum. And here's why. As Mark alluded to, I've had a long career, over 40 years, and held various positions in education, in pediatric healthcare, and now at Kaplan Early Learning Company. But always my North Star, really since high school, has been to do whatever I could do to help each child achieve their full potential. And a major focus for me within that has always been children with special learning needs and children of poverty. And too often these children suffer from educational opportunity gaps where they're simply not given the quantity and quality of educational learning experiences, especially in math and science, which can then lead to the achievement gaps that we're so familiar with. And I think that putting a great curriculum straight into the hands of teachers is one of the best tools to reduce these opportunity gaps and to help all children achieve. And this also was the motivation for the creation and development of Connect for Learning. The authors of Connect for Learning are all principal investigator researchers, highly accomplished experts in their respective early childhood fields. And they were actually sought out by the National Science Foundation, who funded them to create a new innovative curriculum that would really prioritize high quality, developmentally appropriate math and science activities and learning experiences for children, but without sacrificing literacy and social emotional development. And the result is our curriculum, Connect for Learning. It is strongly research-based, built on the research foundation created by the authors of the curriculum. Among them, they have hundreds of peer-reviewed published papers of their own research on how children learn math, how children learn science, literacy, and social emotional skills. So those are the authors. As they created the Connect for Learning curriculum, they also field tested it and ran research and showed that children who received the Connect for Learning curriculum had significantly better outcomes in math, science, language, and literacy skills compared with comparable children in classrooms that did not receive Connect for Learning. So it's absolutely research-based and developed by a very highly credible group of researchers who are the Connect for Learning authors. So that's kind of the background credibility of where did this curriculum come from. But I want to talk very briefly about how the curriculum is organized, sort of what a teacher would experience as he or she begins to use this curriculum. It is organized into 6 units. So it covers 32 weeks of instruction, and these lessons in each unit are fully developed for the teacher. So let me emphasize that again. It is fully developed lessons. Teachers do not have to create lessons. They don't have to figure out what's the best order for me to teach various phonological awareness or math numeration skills. It is all created for them, which leads to much better fidelity, much greater adherence to what research tells us children need, and consistency. It also means that a beginning teacher can be successful with this curriculum, but there's so much in there that is great for experienced teachers as well. So 32 weeks of fully developed lessons organized into 6 units. Each of those units also culminates in a major project. And so it is project-based learning. And then each of the units also has pages and pages of ideas for teachers to use in the learning centers for children. Now, I want to emphasize at Kaplan, our mantra actually is we are for play. We're for play. That is our mantra, our vision at Kaplan. And so not surprisingly, Connect for Learning has just a perfect balance, I think, of opportunities for children to choose their play activities, but those play activities provide opportunities for them to practice and expand and apply the knowledge and skills they're being exposed to in the more structured teaching session. So it's a great balance between intentional teaching and child-directed play. Formative assessment is included in the program. You can do that either in the paper version or you can do that in the online portal. And then of course, professional development is available, and we've made that very, very practical for school districts. So there's a lot more I could say about the curriculum. We do have a full Spanish version as well. Want to make sure that you are aware there's an full English curriculum and a full Spanish curriculum. We hired a consultant from Texas actually to create the Spanish version, Dr. Mari Riojas Cortez, who was at University of Texas, San Antonio for 22 years in the early childhood department. And she is a dual language expert. She has a lot of expertise on children with special needs. And she also is a curriculum expert. So she was absolutely fantastic to work with. And because of her, I think we have an awesome full Spanish curriculum available to you. So I'm going to stop there and let you guys start in with the questions.
I have a question. You said you have assessments. How are those assessments? Are they beginning, middle, and end, or are they weekly, monthly? How are they?
The assessments, that's a great question, Maria. So there are prompts built into these fully developed lessons that prompt the teacher to be sure and observe the child's knowledge of the letter S, for example, or observe if the child can count accurately to 10 and to record that in the formative assessment. And that assessment begins in the first couple of weeks of the school year and goes till the end of the year. So it's an ongoing assessment. It doesn't dictate, you know, on week 3, day 2, you must do this, but there are prompts built into the curriculum so the teacher doesn't forget and takes those opportunities as the lesson is underway, especially in the small group, to observe and go ahead and record what he or she is seeing the children doing.
So it's digital. We can record it digital.
You can do digital through the online portal, or you can use the paper version, whichever you're comfortable with.
Okay. I have another question. Is everything digital, like lesson plans, books, charts, everything? Because sometimes, well, the curriculum, because I go home and I don't want to take books. Is it available online where I don't have to go and carry my book, carry my stuff, so I can teach from home? If I need to teach from home, I have everything available online. The charts, the posters, everything.
Right. So the unit guides are available digitally, and the lesson plans within the unit guides are all available digitally. And I believe all of the visuals are also either already available digitally or will be very, very soon to meet all the Texas proclamation requirements and guidelines. So I believe that all of that is digitally available or will be very soon. Because we understand that's the new world that we're in, and that's the expectation and needs of teachers and
because sometimes I cannot, my old version is like, I have charts. And like, how am I cannot teach it. I cannot take a picture because then if I shrink it, it's too blurry. Right.
Yes,
so
I can tell you many, if not all of the visual supports in the curriculum, and there are tons of them, but many, if not all of them are already up. And I have seen Zoom lessons with Connect for Learning from a district in Michigan where they are using digital versions of the charts and they're working great.
Yeah, especially those, because sometimes the kids need to see that. And if we don't have them, it's
Absolutely.
hard. Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, they are. Good question.
There's some questions in the chat as well. Is Connect 4 Learning program compatible with Canvas or Classlink?
That is a question I'm not sure about that. I can get more information on that. Let me so Canvas or Classlink?
And I believe it was asked by Christy Larkins, and this is Mark Hanson with Kaplan. I'm saying that because both Laura and my Mark Hanson emails are listed right above the question that you've posted. I don't know, Christy, that we know how to get a hold of you, but we would be happy to look at that with you and walk through what that looks like.
Right. So just shoot us an email.
Okay.
And
I think I have your email, Mark, and I'll shoot you an email tomorrow and check.
Okay. Okay. And it's
perfect.
listed. Yep. And again, it's listed for everybody in the chat session. So I've just copied and pasted it. So we actually have two other questions in chat. The next is, can we see a sample? Laura, do you want to talk through that?
I think, yes, you can see samples of the unit guides. You know, I will emphasize this curriculum is huge. When you purchase this curriculum, each classroom is going to get 10 pallets of stuff. So we can't send out samples of the entire curriculum. That wouldn't make sense, but absolutely, if you need to see samples of a unit guide and you know, that kind of thing, we can absolutely make that available to you.
As a matter of fact, we have it pre-formatted. It's on web links. All we need to know is where you want it sent, and we can get it to you very quickly. And really, to Laura's point, it also this I think she said pallets. We meant boxes. But each classroom is going to get 120 books. It's going to get manipulatives and decoratives, and so literally, it's boxes and boxes of materials. I think that is self-explanatory. And by the way, as you go through the curricula, you will be prompted in terms of what to use and what application. So often when people want to see the curricula, we're referencing more of the unit guides. By the way, I know we're limited on time, but part of the offering is also a free portal. And we'll free the first year and we'll show you what it looks like the subsequent years. We actually have packages already pre-built for 1, 4, and 8 years. The point is, in the portal, you'll have full access to all the digital content as well as the assessment tools. So, and quite frankly, learning games, if you choose to use those with parents at home. So. Laura, there was one other question that I can see in the chat, and it says professional development ? Do you want to address that?
Sure. So at this point, what we proposed for Texas is 1 day of professional development training prior to the start of, generally the start of the school year, as that's when most people start using a new curriculum. So that would be 1 6-hour day. And then we strongly recommend 1 or 2 half-day professional development sessions in the middle of the year, so that gives people a chance to get into the curriculum, start using it, after which they often have many questions and observations. And it's very, very, very helpful to bring folks back together for some follow-up professional development after they've had a chance to get their feet wet with it.
I have a question. Is the curriculum, does it have, like, you know how we have our special needs kids, or maybe ELLs, does there support for them? Like, is there in the I guess the curriculum, the books, the teacher can see it. It's visual, so they can see it.
Yes. So in many of the lessons, there are prompts in the lessons on how to adapt the lesson to make it easier, or how to make it more challenging, because we've got all kinds of diverse learners. Some
Yes.
need something more simple, and others need something more complex. So that is built into the lessons. You don't have to go searching for that. Also in the curriculum are boxes throughout the lessons that give you little tips. And one type of box is Esl Strategy Boxes. So They prompt the teacher right in the context of that lesson with what a great ESL strategy would be for those students who need it within the context of that lesson. So again, you don't have to go searching for something and figure out how to apply it now in this lesson. So that is built in. Another phenomenal feature that we have with Connect for Learning is a full day professional development that you can request that really goes in depth on using Connect for Learning with children with special needs, including children with very significant special needs. We have 2 experts from
Okay.
Vanderbilt University who do this, and it is incredible. It's being used very successfully with children with special learning needs.
Thank you.
So I see a question, is there a link to a digital sample or a video sharing an overview of the program? Mark, do you know about that?
Yes, and actually, if you email either Laura or myself, we can get that sent to you immediately. So,
Mark, did you see the question about the digital?
I'm
1 year?
regards from Tara, is that correct?
Yes.
Tara Ford? Yeah, so I'll read the question just so everybody has the context. It says, Mark said 1 year of digital is included. Do you pay for the next 7 years? So we always include what we call the digital or access to the portal free of charge first year. The way that we've set it up with TEA, that we're assuming that you have a normal shelf life, what you want to call, of at least 8 years of the curricula. So we've bundled it from 1 to 4 to 8 years. And basically, there's a slight variations in price just based on longevity to get to that. Typically, it has been in the past about $100 a year for portal access. But you'll see the way we built it in here, we actually offer savings. And I'm happy to send anybody any information on pricing. It is published, and I believe I'll validate with our friend from TEA, publicly available through TEA as well. Is that right, Cheryl?
I had heard that the pricing was available, and I'm gonna narrow down exactly where that's located on our website.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I know it eventually will be available via TEA, and today we can send it to you as well, whichever you prefer. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But we do start getting pricing information available. So.
Right.
Are there any other questions in the chat, or does anyone else have anything?
I think we have about 3 minutes left, and I'm sure there's many burning questions. So does anybody have 1 or 2 that we can address in our short amount of time left?
I have one. What about our stories? Are there stories, videos? Is there like a section where some of those stories are in video so we can just show them to the kids?
I don't know that there are videos of stories that are sort of included with the curriculum. I mean, that would not prevent a teacher from going out on the internet and accessing videos of stories. So, but I'm happy you bring up stories, because there are 120 books included in all those 9 boxes of materials that you receive. And it's a real strength of the curriculum. Every book that was included in this curriculum had to be approved by all 5 authors. And they are some very, very bright, very assertive people. So to get agreement among 5 of them on all of these books, they've got to be good. And actually, when they could not agree or find a book that met their needs for specific lessons, especially for some specific science or social emotional content, they actually wrote stories themselves or had folks that they knew write books. So there actually are about 20 books written by the authors that are included. Those 20 books are uploaded as ebooks on the portal. Those books have also been translated into Spanish and will be on the portal as ebooks as well. So those books are a big and beneficial component of the curriculum.
And Blanca, this is Mark Hanson. I see your request. I will, and your email, I will get the information that you're looking for. So yes.
And that's it for this time block. That went fast.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the tremendous work you're doing. We know teachers are under such pressure and challenges right now, and you're doing heroic work out there. And from all of us at Kaplan, thank you.
And we'll just have a 5-minute break as folks switch sessions.
Okay.
We'll start
right.
back up at 2:50.
Good questions.
That session was better attended too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good, it was over 20 folks, I think. And well, I don't know how many are
Yeah.
yours, but
I think
maybe three that I could see. Yeah.
yeah, so there was,
Mill, Shauna, and Brian was on.
Yeah.
so we had 20 or
At one time
21.
I counted up to 27. So
I'm going to take a peek at the chat. Well, looks like we're going to have another good sized group.
got one more minute to let folks get transitioned between rooms and we'll get started.
Cheryl, it looks like the chats are staying open between sessions. Is that visible to all attendees? You're on silent.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they can see all the history or can only see from the point that they joined.
Well, then I'll just every session copy and paste our contact information.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, just to make sure.
Okay. Yep.
And that way they don't have to scroll back through either.
That's another thing too. Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't see anything. I can't see anything. It's fresh.
Oh.
In the chat. Okay.
In the chat, it's not, there's nothing in there.
Oh, good. Thanks for letting us know.
Well, there's one question answered. So, and I just
before we even started.
wow, we're ahead of the curve now. And I just copy
This
and
is going to
paste.
be a chatty group.
Yeah. Well, this is the third one, so everybody's in their groove now. So
Yeah.
that's good.
All right, well, let's get started. My name is Cheryl Aker, and I'm with the Texas Education Agency in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. And we are very excited to have you all here join us for a chance to talk to the great folks at Kaplan. So I'll let them have the floor.
Mark, you can lead us off again.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Laura. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking time to spend a couple minutes with us. I think what we're going to all find at the end is that we wish we had more time. So we want to honor your time and make the best use of it as possible. So quickly, I am Mark Hanson. I'm the National Sales Manager at Kaplan Early Learning Company. Next to me is our own Dr. Laura Bailet. Dr. Bailet is our Chief Academic Officer, but I think more importantly than that, I think you're going to find her to be a dedicated educator, researcher. Her background includes both publishing of curriculum and creation of assessment tools. But more importantly, what I hope comes through is her true and genuine passion for education, educators, and children. And so I'm going to turn it over to her, and collaboratively, we would look forward to answering any questions you have. Laura, do you want to take it?
Great. Thank you, Mark. And hello, everyone. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. You know, I'm always excited when I have a chance to share information with new folks about our Connect for Learning curriculum. And here's why. As Mark alluded to, I've had a long career, over 40 years in my professional career in various positions in education and pediatric healthcare, and now as Chief Academic Officer at Kaplan Early Learning Company. But when I think back over the arc of that career, always my North Star has been to do whatever I can to help each child achieve their full potential. And a major focus within that for me has been children with special learning needs, as well as for children of poverty. We know that far too often, too many of these children suffer from educational opportunity gaps, where they're simply not given the quantity and quality of learning experiences that help them close that opportunity gap. And then they end up having an achievement gap, which we all hear about all the time. And I think that putting a great curriculum straight into the hands of teachers is one of our most powerful tools for starting to close that educational opportunity gap, and thereby helping each child achieve at their maximum level. And, you know, that was the same fundamental principle that drove the authors of Connect for Learning to create this very innovative, unique curriculum. They saw the same data that I've been looking at for my whole professional career, and they also saw that far too often children aren't getting the math and science experiences that they need and want. And so the curriculum was built with funding from the National Science Foundation. They sought out top researchers in the early childhood field with specific content area expertise, such as math, literacy, science, and social emotional development. And with that National Science Foundation funding, built a fantastic research-based curriculum. And then once the curriculum had been developed, they field tested it and ran research at that phase as well, and showed that children receiving the Connect for Learning curriculum significantly outperformed children in comparable classrooms that weren't using Connect for Learning. So we know that this curriculum, when used well, will result in stronger learning outcomes for children. So that's kind of the credibility and the research foundation and the reasoning behind this very new and innovative curriculum, which does lead with math and science, but not at the expense of literacy and social emotional development. So let's spend a minute or two on sort of the nuts and bolts of this curriculum. It offers 32 weeks of fully developed lessons. And I really want to emphasize that Connect for Learning does not require teachers in any way to have to create lessons on their own. So this is a huge benefit. And so those 32 weeks are broken into 6 units, and each unit has a major project as part of the focus. So this curriculum also has project-based learning. And I want to emphasize at Kaplan, our mantra actually is we're for play. We are for play at Kaplan because we know that that's how children learn some things best. And so not surprisingly, Connect for Learning really emphasizes high quality play opportunities and child choice for much of each day, along with carefully planned intentional teaching of key concepts and knowledge that children need to learn to have long-term academic and life success. So again, it's 6 units, 32 weeks. There's a full English version of the curriculum, a separate full Spanish version of the curriculum. Formative assessment comes with the curriculum, and you can do that either. There's a paper version that teachers can use, or they can use the electronic online portal to record their formative assessment data. And of course, we have professional development. One of the things I love about this curriculum, because the lessons are fully developed and sequenced according to what research tells us is the correct order in which children master these complex skills in early childhood. It's very easy for beginning teachers to be highly successful with this curriculum, but there's so much packed into this curriculum that even very experienced teachers find that they love it and use it very successfully. So I'm going to pause there. And Mark, if there's any characteristic or component of Connect for Learning that you want to emphasize, go ahead, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Well, Laura, I'm thinking that I call this our speed dating opportunity. We're limited so much in time, and it's almost like an onion, and we're only really going to touch the outside of the onion. We welcome to talk about the other layers with you, and in particular based on your needs or questions. And really, Laura referenced credibility, and she also referenced ease of use. And I think those two are very unique and different that separate C4L from the pack in all transparency. You won't find a more credible research base, whether it's the author group, whether it's the research. And when I say research based, it's also classroom tested. So it's not just a theory, it's an application and a demonstration that it works. And really the ease of use is based on each unit guide, giving teacher instructions so that they simply open up that guide, they understand what to teach, they understand the 4 components of the lesson plan. And by the way, the kids like the consistency of that as well. And so we welcome your questions. I am looking in the chat area and I see a couple questions around professional development. Maybe we can unpack that just a little bit more, Laura, in terms of what it might look like for either a district or a classroom and how we could support them with either different types or what our PD offerings might look like.
So what we proposed for the Texas proclamation is one day, a 6-hour day of initial professional development orientation training to get folks into the curriculum and start to familiarize them with how it's organized and all of the organizational and pedagogical structural supports and tools that are built in and embedded in the curriculum to make it so easy to get started with this curriculum. But we also strongly recommend and put into the Texas proposal 1 or 2 days of follow-up training several months into the school year. We know that teachers can only take in so much information of initial training, and then they need to just start using it and get their feet wet and just get going with it. And then that will spark a whole new round of questions or concerns or points of confusion. And so those are the kinds of things that we can address with subsequent professional development. But we think that follow-up opportunity is critically important. We offer many, many choices to districts of different topics that they want to take a deeper dive into. Some districts, for example, want to go much deeper into the literacy component. Some want much more on math or social emotional. We have a fantastic in-depth training on using Connect for Learning with children with special needs. So there's all kinds of professional development opportunities, but we make it easy for teachers to get started.
So Laura, I welcome any verbal questions. The chat area is alive and well, and we can try to unpack those one at a time, but I don't want to circumvent any live questions. So are there any live questions before we start to address the chat questions? Okay, in no particular order. I'm seeing one here, Laura, that says, are you going to show us any samples of features of your curriculum?
I don't have samples to show you in this particular virtual format today, just because the time is so short and we really want to prioritize answering your burning questions, but we can certainly provide samples or a link so that you can see aspects of the curriculum.
Yes, and exactly. And everybody's chat function, you should see, I've copy and pasted Laura and my emails. We have a fully embedded email link that we could send to you very quickly. It would give you visuals of both the English and the Spanish assortments, and recognize that this is a solution that literally ships in 10 unique boxes. So within it are 120 picture books, as an example, a full assortment of manipulatives, decoratives, instructional materials, learning cards, as well as the 6 unit guides. And so we can provide any and all of these materials for your review. However, I would recommend that we start just kind of showing you from these links what that looks like, and then allow you to take it to the next step. Okay.
We have a hand up.
What's the ratio of hands-on to direct teaching throughout the curriculum? What would you say that ratio was?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it depends on if you're a half-day program or a full-day program. What I would say there is a really nice balance between the two. I would say it's, just off the top of my head, there are 4 distinct lessons each day. And again, these are fully developed in the unit guides for you. So the first one is a welcome and read aloud. So that's about 20 minutes. There's a lesson called Connect, which could be anywhere from 5 to 10, 15 minutes. There's small group. The small groups happen while other children are in learning centers, and then they rotate through as small groups. And there are fast focus lessons, which are designed to be just a couple of minutes long to practice key math and literacy skills. The rest of the time, children are in learning centers or they're outside on the playground. So I would say half or more of their day is play and child choice, with some, great intentional teaching that's happening in during the day, but not in one long chunk. It's very clearly stated in the teacher's handbook that children should not be sitting for more than 20 minutes, for example, in a structured teaching session. So we really emphasize that. It's a very nice balance.
Thank you. And for those hands-on the hands-on activities that are included, are the materials part of the program?
Some of the materials are included. I think one of the strengths of the curriculum is the amount of attention the authors gave to not only the lessons, but to making suggestions for learning center activities and materials that would help the children practice the skills and concepts that they were exposed to in the lesson, and apply and extend those in creative, novel ways. And so there are literally at the beginning of each unit guide pages and pages and pages of suggestions for what teachers might put into the learning centers in terms of activities and materials. But of course, we want teachers to use their own creativity there. We very much expect and encourage them to put materials in there that are culturally responsive to their children and the communities in which they work.
Thank you. And one more. And with which letters of the alphabet do the materials introduce the alphabet, and why?
The materials cover all 26 letters of the alphabet. We do not start at A and go through Z, because research shows that some letters are easier to learn than others. And so we start actually with the letter S, as in Sam, and then the second letter is the letter A. And then the letters kind of roll out from there. But every letter is introduced. And when a letter is introduced, there's big emphasis not only on the letter name, but also on the letter sound. Great questions. Keep them coming.
Laura, this is Mark. We've got one question repeated twice by the same person. So I think that there's a sense of urgency, and it deals with what books come with the adoption. Do you want to talk through what that looks like and why we have 120?
I love this question. So there
Yeah.
are 120 books that you get in this set. And 100 of those books, well, all 120 books had to be approved by all 5 of the authors. And trust me, these authors are all incredibly bright, accomplished in their field, and very assertive personalities. So to get 120 books that all 5 of them agreed upon, you know those books have to be great. 100 of those are widely available books that are published. For 20 of the books, the authors could not find a book that they thought was good enough for the content that they wanted to include. So they actually had those books written. So 20 of those books are written by the Connect for Learning authors or people that they knew that they worked with to get those books produced. So you get 120 really fantastic books. The 20 books that were specifically created for the curriculum are on the portal as ebooks. So that's really helpful if you are doing hybrid learning or you've got children learning at home.
So this is Mark, and I'm just going to say, I assume we're going to run out of time based upon all of these questions. Laura and or myself, our emails are listed in the chat feature. We are happy to provide any and all information. And I just want you to know each question is important. And I'm going to apologize in advance if we can't get to them all. But again, our emails are readily available and we look forward to partnering with you. I do see a question about the manipulatives. Are they included in the adoption? And the quick answer is yes. All the materials that you need, including manipulatives and decoratives, as Laura has explained, the books, including the teaching guides, are all included in the full 10-box set. So basically,
their puppets, their games, their posters, there's just all kinds of wonderful manipulatives and visual support materials for the classroom.
Have you touched on the Spanish program yet in this group?
I can't remember, but we have a full Spanish version. So you can purchase either the English version or the Spanish version. To create the Spanish version, we hired a DLL consultant from University of Texas, San Antonio, Dr. Mari Riojas Cortez. She was there for 22 years. In this current school year, she moved to the University of California University System to become a full professor and department chair out there. But she was fantastic and really helped us create what we think is an outstanding Spanish curriculum to help dual language Spanish English children truly become bilingual and biliterate. That's the goal.
And the assessment that is linked to the curriculum, is that assessment on the commissioner's list?
I don't know about that. It's a formative assessment designed specifically for the Connect for Learning curriculum. So it was part of the whole approval process. I don't know about the commissioner's list.
Okay.
But if that is important for you, we can clearly investigate that. Again, the full solution has been approved by TEA. But again, if you have separate questions outside of that, like the commissioner's list, we're happy to unpack. So.
Okay.
I have a question. Your website mentions consumables that need to be purchased every year. What is the cost associated with those consumables that we would have to purchase every year?
Mark, do you know off the top of your head the cost of the consumables? I don't sell stuff for Kaplan, so I really don't know pricing very well.
Historically, the consumable has been priced at like $69.95 a year. What you'll find is that, first of all, everything that you need is included in your initial set. What we have found with teachers as they use the curricula from year in, year out, that often they even create some of the materials themselves. So I'll use the example of a science log. So again, it's interdisciplinary. We're doing science, we're teaching literacy. It's really a lined piece of paper that's bound. If you choose to purchase it from us, we're happy to partner with you on that, but you may find that, quite frankly, you can do that yourself as well. So we're going to give you more than you need right out of the gate, but rest assured you can teach it year in, year out with everything that you're going to receive on your initial purchase.
Were there other
And
questions in the chat, or just someone?
we are out of time.
And that's the issue.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for your time and for joining us here today. So.
Yes, and I want to say thank you for all the work you are doing. We know that educators everywhere are just facing unbelievable challenges and absolutely doing heroic work. And from every one of us at Kaplan, thank you for your great work.
And Lucia, I see your request and I will get you the information you're asking. I can see it in the chat function. So.
Thank you all very much. There'll be a 5-minute transition for the next sessions to start at 3:15. I will be right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a stretch.
Yeah, maybe I'll stand up too.
Yeah.
Too much sitting. Ugh.
My dogs just came back inside. Hopefully everybody behaves himself.
Well, I think, everybody's gotten used to background noise and seeing pets and children wander across the screen. I think it humanizes us.
It's the best part of some meetings. Yeah.
I think it's had a nice benefit, really, in a lot of ways.
I agree.
So don't worry if your dogs wander through. First of all, I get so in my little zone that I'm like clueless to anything else that's going on around me. So don't worry on my account.
Okay, well, it is 3:15 and I know these sessions go by really quickly, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Cheryl Aker and I'm with the Texas Education Agency and I'm in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. And we are joined in this room here with the fine folks from Kaplan, and I'm going to let them have the floor.
All right, Mark, you want to lead us off one more time?
Absolutely. Thank you, Laura. By the way, good afternoon, and thank you everybody for choosing to join us. We very much appreciate your time. We value it. Unfortunately, we're going to find that it is limited, so we do want to plow through and make sure that we have more than enough time to answer your questions. But I'll quickly just introduce our own Dr. Laura Bailet. What you will find is Laura is our Chief Academic Officer at Kaplan Early Learning. But more importantly, her background includes not just an educator and a researcher, but also one who has designed and developed both curricula and assessment solutions. What I think you will find with her is that she honestly and sincerely is a proponent of education and children. And I'm pleased to introduce her and to turn over a quick conversation for you about Kaplan's own Connect for Learning. Laura?
Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. You know, I always love an opportunity to introduce new folks to our curriculum, Connect for Learning, and here's why. You know, I've had a long career of over 40 years, and I've held a lot of different positions in education, in pediatric healthcare, and now as Chief Academic Officer at Kaplan Early Learning Company. But always, my North Star for all the work that I've done has been to do what I can to help each child achieve their full potential. And a major focus within that has been for children with special learning needs, as well as children of poverty. Too often these children suffer educational opportunity gaps where they're not given the quantity and quality of educational learning experiences to help them achieve, and they therefore begin to show achievement gaps. And I think one of the best ways to address that is by putting great curricula straight into the hands of teachers as one really important way to reduce these opportunity gaps and thereby help all children achieve. And that's actually the exact same motivation that led to Connect for Learning. The 5 authors who came together through funding at the National Science Foundation saw that, especially as pertains to math and science learning, that preschool children had major opportunity and therefore achievement gaps. Most curricula simply do not devote sufficient time or quality time to math and science early learning experiences. And so through the funding at the National Science Foundation, they applied the very best research on what children learn and how they learn it in the preschool years. And much of that research is the author's own research. Among them, they have hundreds of published peer-reviewed studies of their own research. And they use that research to create this interdisciplinary curriculum that beautifully covers 4 content domains: math, science, literacy, and social emotional. And and as they developed the curriculum, they field tested it. So they generated new research with the actual curriculum and showed that children in classrooms that were using Connect for Learning had significantly better learning outcomes across math, science, language, and literacy than children in comparable classrooms that weren't using Connect for Learning. So the curriculum has a very strong research foundation and research evidence. So that speaks sort of to the credibility of the curriculum, how and why it was built, and who was responsible for that, these 5 incredible authors and researchers. But now I want to just get into a little bit the nuts and bolts of what does this curriculum look like day in and day out in a classroom. So it is composed of 6 unit guides for a total of 32 weeks of fully developed lessons. And I really want to emphasize fully developed lessons. This curriculum does not require teachers in any way to create lessons or to have to decide for themselves what aspect of math, numeration, and counting or phonological awareness am I supposed to teach first, and how much time should I spend on that skill, and then what do I move to next? Those are really difficult concepts and things for teachers to know. And this curriculum has taken all of the best research on those things and created the right sequence and the right scaffolding for the teachers. So it improves fidelity and it improves outcomes. And so it's 32 weeks of fully developed lessons that are easy to use, whether you're a beginning teacher or you're a highly experienced teacher. Formative assessment is built into the curriculum. There are prompts embedded in lessons, prompting teachers to observe children's abilities with specific skills. Teachers can record that on a paper form that is included, or they can use the online electronic portal for Connect for Learning. It's teacher's choice on that. Obviously, we have professional development to get people comfortable with the curriculum and help them get started with it. What we proposed for the Texas proclamation process was 1 day of initial training, which is a 6-hour day, to get people oriented to how the curriculum is structured and give them opportunities to start practicing with the different types of lessons and becoming familiar with the organization of it. Then we also included a couple of professional development days mid-year. So after teachers have had an opportunity to get their feet wet, start to understand it, then of course they're going to have more questions. And so we think it's a great idea to bring them back mid-year to go much deeper in those areas where they request additional information or help. So I could talk a lot more about this curriculum, but I want to be respectful of all of you and give you opportunities to start asking us questions.
Hi, my name is Lori Robinson. I am wondering, we have a pre-K4 and a pre-K3 program, separate classrooms. And is the product that you're offering, is there a specific resource for pre-K3, or is it more a pre-K4 program differentiated for pre-K3?
It's more of a pre-K4 program. It was originally designed for pre-K, but we know many pre-K classrooms have 3-year-olds, especially if they're Head Start classrooms. It works very well with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. It's being used in transitional kindergarten classrooms for those younger 5s, for example. So it's easily adapted and effective with that whole age range of 3s, 4s, and 5s. It also works incredibly well for children with special needs. And one of the great assets that we have is at Kaplan is we offer an in-depth training on adapting the curriculum to children with very significant special needs by 2 experts from Vanderbilt University. It's being used very effectively with children with special needs in a number of districts.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Mark. Laura, I'm going to just read a question that's in the chat box, and I'll read it out loud so everybody has the question, and then we'll answer it specifically. So there's a question, and it says, do the lessons have the pre-K guidelines specified on the day-to-day lessons?
I don't believe that they have the Texas pre-K guidelines specified within the lessons. Obviously, the curriculum was fully mapped to all those learning objectives within your TEKS guidelines, and we met 100% of them. The lessons do specify the learning objectives within the curriculum. There are about 140 learning objectives in the curriculum that are included in the formative assessment, and each lesson specifies which of those objectives it maps to. I will mention too, I forgot to mention, there's a full Spanish version of the curriculum. We hired a DLL consultant in Texas, Dr. Mari Riojas Cortez. She was at University of Texas, San Antonio for 22 years in the early childhood department. She just left this current school year to move to a department chair and full professor position within the University of California system, but she was absolutely fantastic and really helped us put together what I think is a phenomenal full Spanish curriculum to help DLL Spanish English learners become fully bilingual and biliterate. That's our goal with that. So that is available. I wanted to make sure that you are all aware of that.
So I have a question. As you said that, it sounds like, is it just translated, or was it translated with cultural linguistic relevance?
It was translated with cultural and linguistic relevance. We get that question a lot, and I think it's a really important question. So Dr. Riojas Cortez is fully bilingual. Her first language is Spanish. She literally painstakingly went through every single lesson. She's not the translator, but she speaks both languages. She would go through and mark and translate herself every single place where something simply wasn't going to work if you just did a straight translation. And she actually rewrote lessons that needed to be rewritten, especially like the phonological awareness ones, all the literacy ones, basically, for letter alphabet knowledge and phonological awareness. And then once she did that, the whole thing went to a highly qualified translation company. So there were basically, it was like a two-step check and balance on the translation part of it, which again, was a lot of work, but I think it was absolutely the right way to do it.
Can I ask one follow-up? Not follow-up.
Sure.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. And my question is, you mentioned that it's like laid out 32 weeks, what to do when. So as we're looking at these curriculum choices, we've got this range of curriculums.
Yeah.
How do you respond to your kids' interests and needs? Like, where's there room? Is there room for that? You know my question.
Yes,
I see you.
Absolutely. So the lessons are fully developed, but all through the teacher's handbook, and especially in there are pages and pages at the beginning of each unit guide. So there's 6 units. Each unit culminates in a big project. So it's project-based learning too. And within those pages that describe the project and also suggested activities for learning centers, teachers are strongly encouraged and prompted to take into account the ethnic and cultural characteristics of children in their classroom and the communities where they work, to take advantage of cultural resources in the community, and to tailor learning experiences to be culturally responsive. And then, just if you have children that are really interested in a topic, by all means, you're encouraged to include things in those learning centers that will pique their interest. So they're very much encouraged to really make the curriculum work for children of all types and in all communities.
There's a few questions in the chat.
Laura, if it helps you, I will read them, and that way everybody will be able to hear the question, and then we'll directly answer them. And in no particular order, the first that I'm seeing is, do the lessons have the pre-K guidelines? Actually, I apologize, we did that one. Are all resources available in print and digital? Question, are digital resources available for on-demand printing?
This is a big question these days with the pandemic and all the virtual teaching that everyone has experienced. So all of the unit guides and lessons are available electronically through the online portal. And I know many of the visual support material, so the charts and the cards and things like that, are already uploaded to the portal, because I've seen many Zoom lessons out of Michigan where they are using those materials through the electronic portal, and it's working beautifully. I need to check on whether every single visual in the kit is now uploaded to the portal or not. So I'm going to have to get back to you on that. And then the other question was, what was the other part of the question, Mark? Something about if you can download and print it?
Yes, for digital resources, are they downloadable and printable? So,
And I need to check on that as well.
and I'm going to just remind everybody that this is what I call a holistic solution that physically, when it arrives in your classroom, is 10 boxes. And I say that because there's 120 picture books, obviously the 6 unit guides, which are the project-based instructional guides that Laura has referenced, but more importantly, that it also has manipulatives, games, puzzles, puppets, etc. So the point is some of these, a puppet is hard to digitize. So that's where we stumble, in that capacity. But yet we do have this curriculum being delivered online due to the pandemic. It's being done with fidelity. There are some adaptations that has been done at the local level to do that. And we're pleased to share those resources with you as well. So, and I'll remind everybody that Laura and Mark Hanson's emails are listed in the chat feature. We are happy to send you any and all materials that you need. We do have digital versions of this curriculum for your review. You can see the unit guides. You can get a flavor for what the 120 picture books look like, as well as the other materials that we're referencing. And you'll see the unit guides in both English and Spanish. Please just reach out to us. We're happy to get you that information. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so for the person who wanted to know if all the visual materials are available electronically, if you can just email us that question, and you don't have to put the long full question, just something to spark our memory that we were talking about that, and we will absolutely get back to you on that. I think that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is we really, really love your questions and we want to respond fully. So just send us a reminder email. Hey, you were going to check on, how many of the visuals are available electronically. That's it. And then we'll get back to you. Or are they downloadable? And we'll get back to you right away.
Under the essence of time, I think we're about at that 5-minute mark until we need to conclude. So next question, but we do open this up for any verbal questions as well. Does your curriculum have teacher edition books is the next question.
Well, the unit guides are designed for the teachers. There are many, many materials that are designed for the students. At the end of each unit guide are black line masters to run off for the children. But I don't know if that answers your question. But yes, there's a 1-inch thick teacher guide for each of 6 units. So you will not be at a loss for guidance on how to deliver these fully developed lessons.
Well, and this is Mark, and I'll just interject because we all know that there are many curricular choices out there. I personally have experienced some where I've had like 1,000-page teacher unit guide. Good luck opening that, packaging that, and reading that. And so our intent in designing it is it's all embedded in the 6 unit guides. Everything that you need to teach will be on that unit guide, as well as notes to you as a teacher as well. So we're trying to make it inclusive, and so that'll allow you to focus on the students and the education, and to rest assured that what you're using is credible, and quite frankly, what I call ease of use. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. Do we have any other, I guess, verbal questions? I see a hand up from Lori.
Yeah, sorry, one more question. We are a Head Start district, and was wondering if you have anything available for correlation to the early childhood outcome framework.
To the ELOF, the Early Learning Outcomes Framework. That was a question in a prior session, and I've already sent out an email. I think we do, but we do so many correlations that they kind of start to run together, and I don't want to answer definitively unless I know definitively. So we are checking on that. I would ask Lori, will you email me to remind me? Just put ELOF. That's all you have to do, and then I'll get back to you. And I may already have an answer back from somebody, but I don't want to check my email while we're on the video. So but it works very well for Head Start classrooms. I think that was those were the types of children that the authors really had in mind in terms of equity, of opportunity, and providing challenging yet developmentally appropriate vocabulary and concepts and learning experiences, especially for children who historically have not necessarily had the quantity and quality of those types of experiences. So we love it for Head Start classrooms.
We probably can squeeze one more question in if Cheryl will let us. Is there any questions from the panel before we conclude? How's that for sneaking one in?
Did you see the one about, does the curriculum have themes?
Have themes?
I did not.
So each
okay.
unit, is that the question? Do they have themes?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
It is.
Each unit, and again, there's 6 units, has a theme that's organized around the project. So yes, there are project-based themes for each unit.
And I'll just pile on and just say that's part of the credibility statement. The research shows that project-based is more effective, and that's why we go with a project-based approach. And so again, everything you're going to see here is based on research. When I just say, I don't mean just research-based, but classroom tested. So it's been validated in classrooms as well.
Okay, we are out of time for our next. We have one more block left. Thank you all very much. And our next session will end, our last session will end or start at 3:40.
Thank you, everyone. And hats off to all the educators out there. We know it's just an incredibly challenging time and you are doing heroic work. So on behalf of everyone at Kaplan, we thank you. Mills, your picture kind of creeps me out, I have to tell you.
He's got an eye on you. Get it?
Oh
yeah.
My gosh. Of course he's silent.
Go. And it's not often that anybody in sales is silent. So come on. And by the way, as a testament, Mills in the last 24 hours has achieved his yearly sales goal. And that is a very significant achievement, but also to do it during a pandemic. So hats off.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Yay.
Shauna's giving you a hands up. Look at that.
Yay.
Shauna Tyner is on the sales team as well. That's why I said Shauna.
Yes, I recognize Shauna's name. Hi, Shauna.
Yeah.
Good to see
I'm saying that for our Cheryl too. So Cheryl, we're adopting you into the Kaplan world.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I thought Jennifer had already made me official.
I think so. Yeah, she would
probably
absolutely adopt you if she had half a chance.
It's a small world. I've been with Jennifer while she's on the phone with you, and that's why I'm kind of like.
Oh, how funny.
It's a small world.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to meeting her in person at the review this summer. And then, of course, you know, that all got blown up.
That didn't happen, did it?
I did get to see her online finally. And she looked, you know, you talk to somebody and hear their voice for so many months. She looked exactly like I had pictured her in my head, which is unusual because usually people just don't, you know, look like whatever you kind of visualize.
Yeah, or you just never know. So it's nice when it does align. It seems like it's easier to remember their names and everything.
Kind of funny, like I must have almost met her before or something. I don't know. It was
former life.
Give folks just a few more minutes here to join us for our last session.
Cheryl, I like how you cleaned up my email message on the chat feature. So thank you.
Uh-oh, is he making typos?
No typos, but I was typing and now the professional came in and she cleaned it up. It looks really
Well, you know, I work for the education agency. If I
That's the teacher in you, right?
It is. Even though I
Yeah.
was a math
Can't
teacher,
let any of those errors go unnoted.
I was a math teacher, but I'm an avid reader. I'm constantly finding stuff in books that makes me crazy.
I know. It's like, where are their editors? How did this happen?
Oh, yes. All right. Well, it is 3:40, time for our final session of the afternoon. We are so glad you all are here to join us. This is a room for Kaplan. My name is Cheryl Aker, and I'm with the Texas Education Agency in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. And we're very excited to have you here. And I'm going to hand it right over to the fine folks at Kaplan.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark Hanson, and I'm privileged to be with you. And first and foremost, we want to say thank you for your time. I'm quickly going to step aside. I know we have some real stringent time limitations, and I would like to introduce our own Dr. Laura Bailet. Dr. Bailet is Kaplan's Chief Academic Officer. More importantly than that, her background includes education, actually curriculum and assessment development. But more importantly, I think what I hope comes through is her genuine and sincere passion for education and children. So I'm pleased to turn the mic over to her. Laura, do you want to start us out?
Sure. Thank you, Mark. And hello, everyone. And thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. You know, I'm always really happy for any opportunity to introduce new people to the Connect for Learning curriculum. And here's why. As Mark's alluded to, I've held different positions in education, pediatric healthcare, and now at Kaplan Early Learning Company over the course of a more than 40-year professional career. But always, no matter what the job was, my North Star has been to help each child achieve their full potential. So always thinking about what I could do or create that would help each child achieve that full potential. And a major focus within that has always been children with special learning needs, as well as children of poverty. And one of the things I love about Connect for Learning is that the authors and principal investigators who created this curriculum have the exact same motivation. So what led to this curriculum was the National Science Foundation sought out these experts to create a curriculum that would increase educational opportunities, particularly focused on math and science, because what we know is that historically we've had some major opportunity gaps which lead to achievement gaps, especially for children of color and poor children in the areas of math and science, more so even than in literacy and social emotional development. And so one of the things that we know is the best tool, or one of the best tools for closing that opportunity and achievement gap, is putting great curricula straight into the hands of teachers. That is one of our best ways to enhance all children's learning experiences and thereby help all children achieve. So Connect for Learning was built upon that motivation and that philosophy. Now, the 5 authors and researchers who built this curriculum have among them hundreds of peer-reviewed published research in their respective content areas, but all of them are renowned early childhood experts. And this is a curriculum that leads with math and science as 2 of the key domains, but without shortchanging literacy and social emotional development. So Connect for Learning covers 4 domains: math, science, literacy, and social emotional. It is an interdisciplinary curriculum, so most of the lessons have content and concepts from 2 or more of those domains, rather than always keeping that kind of content very siloed. It is based on all the extensive research by our own authors, as well as the high quality research from others. And so that kind of speaks to the philosophy, the foundations of where this very unique and innovative curriculum came from, and also the credibility of the people who put this together. So it was founded on bedrock current research. But in addition to that, when the curriculum was completed and was ready for field testing, they ran additional research and found that children in classrooms using Connect for Learning significantly outperformed children in comparable classrooms that didn't have Connect for Learning in multiple domains. So in math, science, language, and literacy. So the Connect for Learning children outperformed comparable children in other classrooms. So we know this is a curriculum that is research-based and quite frankly just works. So that's kind of the credibility and foundation of the curriculum. I want to flip now to sort of the nuts and bolts. What does this curriculum look like every day in the classroom? So the curriculum has 32 weeks of fully developed lessons that are easy to use, whether you have a beginning teacher or you have highly experienced teachers. It is so well structured. Those 32 weeks of instruction are divided into 6 units. Each unit has a big culminating project. So there is a lot of project-based learning that happens within the curriculum. And there are all kinds of organizational and pedagogical supports that are built in and embedded in the lesson plans each day, so that it almost functions as ongoing professional development. For example, there are embedded text boxes with ESL strategies put right on the page with the lesson plan, so that the teacher can quickly look at that if she's got ESL students and know immediately what he or she can do to adapt that lesson to benefit that ESL student. That's just one simple example. Formative assessment is included in the curriculum, and teachers can complete their formative assessment either in the paper version that's included or through the online portal. I will emphasize too that there is a full Spanish version of the curriculum, so you can purchase either the English version or the Spanish version. To create the Spanish version, Kaplan hired an outstanding DLL consultant from Texas, actually, Dr. Mari Riojas Cortez, who was at the University of Texas, San Antonio for 22 years in the early childhood program. Just this current school year, she moved to a full professor and department chair position in the University of California system. So she's in California now, but her roots are deep in Texas, and she was just fantastic to work with and helped us really create a very authentic, adapted Spanish curriculum, which the goal of that is to help develop fully bilingual, biliterate children. So that's the Spanish version. Mark, is there anything that I've left out that you want to touch on? And then we're going to open it up for your questions.
Well, first and foremost, we are here for your questions. I'm just going to reflect on some of the previous sessions, and there were some really good questions about professional development. Do you want to just begin to unpack what that looks like, Laura?
Sure. So for the Texas adoption, what we proposed is 1 day of professional development prior to the start of the school year. And that's a 6-hour training to really help teachers get oriented very quickly to what this curriculum is all about, how it is organized, and get them into the materials and practicing with them so that they're ready to get going with it. And then we put into the Texas proposal 1 or 2 days of follow-up professional development training mid-year, with the idea being that, all of us can only absorb so much new information at one time, and then we just reach information overload. So we try in that first day to give them enough to have confidence in getting started and jumping in and using the curriculum, but then to circle back after a few months to bring them back to go deeper or to answer questions or troubleshoot with whatever topics they want to learn more about. Some districts want to go deeper into literacy right away. Others may want to go deeper into the math. We have an outstanding full day training on adapting the curriculum for children with special needs that is just incredible. People love it. They're using this curriculum very effectively for children with very significant special needs. So that is an option. So those are customizable, those extra training days, depending on what your school district is most interested in.
And Laura, if you allow me to just share a little bit about the TEA adoption process. So as we know that we have both an English and a Spanish solution, and within all 10 domains, we've received 100% or a perfect score. And so I just wanted to recognize that for the group that's here as well. And this is all available through the TEA and their assessment tools as well. So Iris, I see your hand up. Are you applauding or do you have a question? I don't know if you know that you're on silent, so I'll assume we'll take it as applause. So thank you. So
I'm applauding. Yes. Yay.
There it is.
Yes,
there
we were
it
very
is.
happy about that too.
Yes, that's right.
We worked hard to achieve that.
Yeah. Laura, do you want to talk through maybe just a little, like to, in a very short amount of time that we have, talk through two key points. One is the credibility of the solution, and the second is ease of use. When it relates to credibility, I think we've referenced the research and the fact that it's not just research-based, but classroom tested. When you look at ease of use and you look at it on a daily basis from an educator or teacher perspective, how about if we just talk through what that looks like, why we promote ease of use?
I think there's so many aspects in the unit guides that just make it easy for people to use. So as an example, at the start of each week in the unit guide, there's the week at a glance that on 1 or 2 pages lists and maps out every single lesson that's going to occur that week. It references the learning objective within the curriculum that's going to be covered in those lessons. And then the next 2 pages or 1 page is materials at a glance. So on 1 page, you have a list of all the materials that you need to be finding, because there are lots of materials in this kit, but it tells you week by week what materials you're going to need. Then the lessons themselves follow. And as I said, they are fully developed. They've got boxes that tell you at a glance, here's what this lesson is about. Here's the big idea. Here's the 3 key vocabulary words you want to hit. It will tell you what you might need to gather or prepare in advance. It has ESL strategies in a box, and it may reference other aspects of the curriculum almost as a little mini professional development tip or opportunity. Each lesson, if it pertains to a specific formative assessment item, has a prompt embedded on the page with the lesson to say, hey, observe children's skills in this particular learning objective, and be sure to record each child's performance. So it reminds you very regularly to keep up with your formative assessment and be adapting the lessons and your instruction based on how children are doing with mastering those learning objectives. So again, as Mark said, it's just incredibly well organized and structured for teachers of all levels of experience to feel successful from day one.
So I'm going to thank you, Laura, and I'm going to, in the essence of time, remind everybody that Laura and my emails are listed in the chat feature. We do have virtual or digital samples for everybody to see, which is ironically a question from Monica White. And so please send us an email. We don't have your contact information. Information on both the English and the Spanish solutions. And you will be able to take a much deeper dive. And as we've referenced before, this is a holistic solution. So we're not just here to partner with you on behalf of a curriculum solution, meaning printed materials. What you'll find is that because it's interdisciplinary, we've woven in 120 picture books. We've woven in manipulatives, decoratives, puzzles, games, puppets. And so when we start to provide these electronic solutions, you can start to see the breadth of this solution. And so it's really unique. We would love to learn more about your program and, if necessary, how to adapt or partner it based on your student population. Now, we do have another question, and I'm going to call about adapting. And Laura, the question is, do you have half-day and full-day plans?
Yes. So in the teacher's handbook, and there's also a principal's handbook, they're basically the same. There are sample full day and half day schedules. So you absolutely can use the curriculum in either of those scenarios. Those schedules that are in the handbook, however, are samples only. We're not expecting anyone to adhere to that, but a lot of folks ask for guidance on how you would kind of map out your day in either the full day or the half day. So those sample schedules are provided there for you.
I see another question in the chat about, do you offer free pilots? So please reach out to myself and or Laura. We will walk through with you what that looks like and how to partner with you. I think most of your questions or needs would be answered through the links that we'll send you, but we'll let you be the judge of that. So either way, we want to partner with you and happy to talk it through. I'm seeing a new question. Is it appropriate for 3-year-olds as well? Dr. Bailet?
Yes, so it's designed for a pre-K classroom, but we know many pre-K classrooms have 3-year-olds in them, especially those that serve a Head Start population. So yes, it is appropriate and effective with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds.
What's neat is that this group is growing as time goes by. We probably have about 5 minutes, and we want to respect both your time and your questions. I don't see additional questions in the chat feature. Are there any verbal questions that anybody has?
If not, if there's other features you'd like to share, please feel
Well, I
free
can
to do
talk a
so.
little bit more about the portal. So the portal is a great tool for family engagement. You can have your parents sign up to use the portal, and there are many computer math games in there that are used in the classroom, but also the parents can do with their children at home. You can share work samples and photos and that kind of thing with the parents. So that's a nice feature. All of the unit guides and lessons are also on the portal. And of course, with many folks working virtually and teaching virtually, that is absolutely essential. And then also you can use the portal to record your formative assessment data. And many people are finding that that is a great benefit as well. I will say too, Mark alluded to, there are 120 books, children's books that come with the curriculum. 100 of those are books that are widely published that Kaplan purchased for the curriculum. Those books had to be approved by all 5 authors. And trust me, these are very, very bright, exacting people, and they all have very assertive personalities. And so to get 100 books that these 5 people agreed on, they are great books. For 20 of the books, those were actually written by the authors or people that the authors knew to create content that they simply couldn't find in books that were already published, especially for specific science content or some of the social emotional skills that are really emphasized. So they created their own books, and those books are available as ebooks on the portal. So that's also a very nice feature.
Laura, I don't see any other questions. I'm going to ask maybe if you want to just share a little bit about our strategy for social emotional and how the pyramid model is woven into the solution.
So one of the authors for Connect for Learning is Dr. Mary Louise Hemener from Vanderbilt University. She is one of the founders of the pyramid model for social emotional development, which is, evidence-based and widely used and known throughout the country. So she created the social emotional content in Connect for Learning based on the pyramid model. And I absolutely love the social emotional teaching in there. There's a lot of focus on children learning to recognize, understand, and label their own emotions, to recognize and understand emotions coming from others, to learn how to respond and manage strong emotions effectively in themselves, and how to respond to the emotions of others. There's a huge amount of focus on conflict resolution and proactive problem solving and kindness and collaboration. And so I think that the social emotional component of it is so current and relevant in today's world, honestly. And again, very, very evidence-based and interwoven into other kinds of lessons. So there are many writing activities, so literacy activities, for example, that have social emotional content. In Unit 1, there's a lesson that I love where the children write compliments to each other. And it's just a beautiful thing to have young children focusing at that early age on, well, what do I like about the other people in my group, and how can I formulate a compliment for them, and then how do I get that down on paper? What does that look like? And how to receive a compliment from other folks. So the social emotional component, I think, is really, really just beautiful and spectacular in Connect for Learning.
Well, that's a
I'll
fun
say
topic
this.
to wind up on.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I just want to reinforce to the team that's here that we actually have a Texas-based sales team. Ironically, 4 of them are on the call with us. And I think most everybody's familiar with Kaplan and the fact that we have been partnering and serving educators, including Texas educators, for more than 50 years. So we do have a locally based sales team. Obviously, we also have other dedicated resources to support in this process as well. So we just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. And by the way, Laura and my emails are listed in the chat feature. I know the other contact information on behalf of Kaplan is available through TEA. We simply want to listen to your questions. We want to partner with you and help you through this journey. So we appreciate your time, and we just want to say thank you.
And I would like to add that we at Kaplan know what challenges you teachers and educators are up against this year. And we know what heroic work every one of you is doing every day. And we want to say thank you and reassure you that you have our full support. So thank you so much.
Thank you all very much for attending this conference and these publisher forums, and I hope this has been beneficial to everybody.
And thank you, Cheryl, for organizing and running these so effectively. You did a great job.
Thank you
Yes,
so
she
much.
did.
It was my pleasure.
Yay for Cheryl.
I'll just stay on here as folks cycle out. And
Cheryl, great to meet you, and we very much appreciate your time. And I will I'll
likewise.
send Jennifer your best regards as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I do miss talking to her regularly.
Well, pick up the phone and call her anytime.
I know. I need to. We'll have to share my gardening adventures and we started new Christmas construction. She's always excited to hear about my construction projects. It's
I know she truly would love to hear from you. So
yeah,
so reach out.
Well, thank you all very much for being here. I think these were well-attended sessions and it went really well.
Yeah, they were. I'm pleased at the size of the audience and the volume of questions. It's great.
Good. Yeah. And hopefully you'll be hearing, sounds like you'll be hearing quite a bit.
Yeah, we're going to be busy,
follow
Mark.
up. So
yeah. Look forward to it. Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.